Have recent events in the Ukraine proven me right about the U.S. Army's new XM5 rifle and effectively canceled the need for this program? Back on April 30th of 2022, I made a video that was highly critical of the U.S. Army selection of 6.8 millimeter and the size of the SIG XM5 rifle. And in the comment section of the video, I took a lot of criticism for this, which wasn't surprising and was expected. I mean, not everybody's going to agree with you in life. Now, one of the criticisms in the comment section was that I hadn't fired the XM5 rifle, but yet was making a criticism of it and not recommending it for military service. Well, I did notice that 2 weeks later, Grantham released a video about the XM5 rifle where he actually shot the rifle. And in his video, he too did not recommend the XM5 for military service. So let's see what Grantham said about the program.
One thing that has always kind of freaked me out about this SIG MCX is the gun looks so big compared to like anything out there. Anytime I've seen anybody holding it, it just looks enormous. And that's probably due in some part due to the fact that we do have a K stock, so it is a shorter stock compared to what you'd typically see from Magpul, as a quick note there. Final thoughts, guys. As a military replacement for the M4, I don't think it's the way to go.
To understand the U.S. military's push for a new squad-issued rifle, we must first look back to Afghanistan, where our dismounted troops often fought the Taliban in ambush situations. Now, the Taliban had time to prepare these positions and bring in weapons like the Russian PKM machine gun and other 7.62 by 54R rifles that could engage our troops often at distances beyond 600 meters. Now, with our troops' standard issue M4 rifle, we just weren't able to provide overmatch protection in this scenario. The terrain in Afghanistan with its mountains made it virtually impossible for our troops to carry the overmatch weapons that they needed in these situations. Thus, the SIG with its 6.8 millimeter round appears to fill the void needed for overmatch weapons in this scenario, especially when it's paired up with the new Vortex XM157 1-to-8 power scope mounted on top of the weapon system. However, the question remains as to whether conflicts outside of Afghanistan or possibly even like places like North Korea, the XM5 is really needed. Or do we need a more balanced rifle that can perform in all theaters of operation like Afghanistan and the Ukraine? I think we can all see that Ukraine is holding its own against Russia in this war, and they're doing it without the need of an XM5 rifle. In fact, they're using AK-74s or AK-47 rifles in this role. And to cover distances from 600 to 800 meters, which the U.S. military would like the XM5 rifle to cover, Ukraine is effectively using drones, mortars, and artillery, and heavy machine guns to great effect. Now, they're able to use these weapons because the terrain itself allows these weapons to be carried and easily transported within the theater of operations. Additionally, the upcoming battle for the city of Kherson, which is a city of approximately 290,000 people, will likely be house to house, building to building, room to room. And in this environment, the XM5 is not well suited with its lack of capacity and the size of the weapon and would truly be a detriment in this type of fighting. Now, some will point out that the 6.8 millimeter round will do a better job of defeating modern level 4 body armor, and that's probably true. However, it doesn't appear to be a factor in the recent events in the Ukraine, with Russian troops not fielding large quantities of level 4 body armor. In fact, they can't even field things like food, clothing, socks, uniforms to their troops. So in this environment, it doesn't seem to be an issue. Now, I'm not saying that defeating level 4 body armor for U.S. troops in the future isn't of concern in future conflicts. I'm just wondering who will be fighting in the future that would issue its troops level 4 body armor in vast quantities. Now, before the Ukraine-Russian war, we were really only concerned about either Russia, which doesn't appear to be an issue, or China. However, because China and Russia are nuclear powers, there is a very low risk to direct military conflict between those two countries and the United States, given the risk of nuclear escalation. Is China a direct threat to the United States? Absolutely yes. Does China want to dominate the world? Absolutely yes. Does China want to destroy the U.S. economy? Absolutely not. We are China's biggest trading partner. We only need to follow the money to answer this question. The U.S. has provided $521 billion a year in trade with China. Do you think that the Chinese want to risk a direct military confrontation and cut off that $521 billion that funnels into their economy? Absolutely not. So the real question becomes is whether China would equip a third-party nation or a third-party group with level 4 body armor to fight against the United States to make us weaker. And it appears anyway in the Ukraine that they have not provided that assistance to Russia. Apparently they don't want to risk the trade implications with the United States. So I don't believe there is a big threat in the near future for China to provide this type of assistance to our enemies. If China and Russia aren't an immediate threat to supplying our enemies with level 4 body armor, we have to ask ourselves what other countries supply their own troops with level 4 body armor, or what other countries that supply their troops with level 4 body armor would provide that body armor to our enemies. If we look to the European continent, we can see that most of the countries that would supply level 4 body armor to their troops are actually already in NATO. So I ask you in the comments section, let me know what country you think would be an immediate threat to the United States or would supply our enemies with level 4 body armor and would be a near-peer threat to us in this situation. While I would agree that the U.S. Army needs to upgrade its squad-issued weapon from the M4 platform, I don't think now is the time to go directly to the XM5. I think the XM5 would make a great designated marksman type of rifle and could be used effectively in combat in this situation. However, I think the U.S. has time to reevaluate its position as to what cartridge it should be using in its new future next generation squad weapon. A squad weapon that can be more balanced with different theaters of operation, providing the balance between long distance engagements with the lethality and close quarters combat situation. An intermediate type cartridge instead of the 6.8 millimeter seems to be the way to go, in my opinion, to balance the needs of long distance lethality and close quarters combat. Now, in the comments below, let me know if you think the XM5 would be making a difference in the Ukraine situation. With the development of SIG's new bimetal case in the 6.8 millimeter round, I think the U.S. Army has time to slow down and do some testing with other rounds to see if that bimetal case can provide the ammunition that our U.S. troops need to defeat level 4 body armor. Now, if you want a more in-depth analysis of the XM5 program and my criticisms of the program, I've made a video right here, and you can check it out. God bless and have a good one.